So I have a plan to reduce the debt of the US. But this plan will be very. This is one of the first things. This is the first time I've done this before. But like, I want you guys. I want you guys to see to let me know what your thoughts on this thing are. I don't normally say let me know your thoughts like or like the way I do right now. But like, I want to know if you think this is a smart idea or dumb idea. I want you guys to tell me if it is. So of course, this is a plan to reduce the US debt. But before that, my name is answer the context UTC for short. What I do here is that I try to show you a different perspective, and I'm gonna try and change your mind to your whatever. You're a grown ass person, you do whatever you want. I don't care what you do. My goal is to show you a different perspective. Whether you choose to change your mind is up to you. Anyway, you're on the video, of course. So now, how do we reduce the US the debt, right? So the way I believe we can do it right now, it will start to sound very funny, right? It sounds like I'm big sound like, but like I thought about this for a while. That's why I didn't post it in a while, but I thought about this for a very long time. So the solution I found or I came up with was suing the World Bank. Nah, before, um, like the question is like how, why, what's up, what's going on. I'm gonna explain everything right now, break it down step by step on my plan to reduce the US debt. Right. So now this is how I'll do it right now. So the World Bank right now, part of the money they got, or they have had, has come from colonization, right? And now, before I jump into this right now, most people might say, "Oh no, we're not gonna do that," or like blame people for colonization or trying to blame the bank for colonization is a bad thing. Like whatever your thoughts or your opinions are on colonization right now, the fact is, no matter how you look at it right now, it was still free labor. So like, what I will try to make an argument in, like, okay, this is how I would approach it. First of all, let me just redo everything right. This is how I approach it right now. I will first we have to first get the US. Like they gotta get the US to do it first. The USA has to do it themselves. I don't know, maybe the president or the prime president. I don't care who it is at this name, but somebody big in the US, like a big position, has to sue the World Bank for using for no for kind of putting African countries in a debt situation. Most people might look at it and say, "Oh, what are you talking about? What am I talking about right now?" Like, it's kind of obvious that the World Bank is kind of putting these countries into like a pseudo colonization type vibe with them being in debt. This is like Congo. This is like some regions in Africa where they're struggling to pay back their debt because they needed it for resources to build the country up. You kind of see what I'm going with this right now. Like, okay, what I'm trying to say is that this right now. I'm gonna start with the whole colonization thing first. So of course, what happened during colonization right now? The countries from the colonized countries, Europeans mostly came into African countries in there, and they came in and took the resources countries the resources from those African countries there away for free. Like colonization there did not benefit the country that they were colonizing from. They benefited the colonizers. All right, we all got that right now. Now I'm not trying to blame people for colonizing. I don't care. I'm not trying to blame people for that. I'm trying to use a emotional argument here. That's not my goal here. My goal is to try to make a point. My point is to say that my point is to, and that point is, even though yes, I'm not gonna blame you for colonizing or your ancestors colonized right now. The same money like you used to put the African countries in debt, part of that money came from colonization. Part of that money came from colonization. You get what I'm saying? I get my point here. The same money that the banks are using to put the African countries in debt, part of that money was from the resources they took for free. You see what I'm trying to say? Now again, like, I'm not trying to say, oh, it's their fault for that. No. That's not their fault. No. What I'm trying to say is just pretty simply, if you're gonna use the money, at least like help them. You know what I mean? Like help them. Like again, this money was took from them. They had to deal with the things that you left behind. Remember, colonization there was not a pretty thing to deal with. Once you find independence right now, you still have to struggle to fix the ways. It doesn't matter, like, colonization there led to a lot of things like homelessness, like there was a lot of problems that were happening that really affected the economy to be able to rely on it. That you caused the problems, not you, but your ancestors caused the problems. But even then, part of that money that you gave them to help with the situation that you incurred with loans debt right now was from their resources. So what I would tell the US dude that is trying to fight for this thing would be like, why don't you just reduce the deficit to zero? Reduce the deficit to zero. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because like these countries at this point right now do not belong to them. Like we can say how Congo is independent. No. If you are in debt, you are technically owned by the person you're indebted to. And that being the case for the other like the countries, the African countries that are being in debt right now, they're owned technically by the World Bank. And now, what I'm trying to say is pretty simply, like the U.S. government guy could argue for the people of Africa to be like, listen, I'm not saying do not not pay them back the money. No. At least reduce the deficit to zero to be able to start over again. Because at this point right now, you know they can pay for they can pay the shit back. Right? You know they can pay the shit back. At least let them have a start. Now, after that whole thing is done right now, of course, the technicalities and things I want to talk about in that case specifically right now. If you guys want me to do a full breakdown of that case itself right now, let me know. But like in that itself right now is the baseline of what I'm trying to say right now. But then that will lead us to the US now helping Africa by helping them through, you see now Congo now has one of the biggest resources in the world right now. Its resources are like used for like phones, shit like that. Like these resources are really very valuable. And some African countries also have something of value too. Now imagine now if the US has some leverage in that market right now, and now the market doesn't have to be affiliated with the debt, which means that now the goal here is not to put African countries in debt, is to use the leverage we did by helping them get out of debt to be able to work with us to make a better deal to be able to help the US deal with the tax deficit. I'm trying to say that this right now, US could gain a part of the Congo or the Congo resources, or I'm using Congo as an example right now, of Congo resources to be able to use that to be able to help us use the tax deficit. Now, the way I'm trying to talk about it right now, like it might sound like I'm like some kind of like fairy tales type shit right now. Like I know like it might sound like I'm trying to put them back into debt, but that's what I'm trying to say. Like if we help them get out of this big deficit and we ourselves put our resources into helping them in exchange for resources, like how we might do it with the Ukrainian situation right now, I think it will help us in the long run, especially when some of the major materials come from Congo. Some of the materials used for our daily technology uses come from Congo right now. So if I say right now, if we can intercept them now and then help them with the tax deficit situation, with the whole debt situation right now for the Congo, help them to reduce the deficit to zero, and then use that money to be able to fund our deficit and also other things as well. We could easily use the business from that we're able to get from the resources from Africa to be able to reduce the deficit. Now, again, I told you again, this is not something I normally do. I try to show a different perspective on this whole issue again. But I want to really know your opinion on this whole thing. Do you think this could easily work? I want to know because I don't know. This is just an idea. I was spitballing for a while, trying to think about the idea, and I'm sorry the way it came out. It was a bit wonky, but like I tried to get it out as best as I could. Anyway, this has been Answer the Context. I'll see you guys next time. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Peace.